But champ, speaking of cleaning up house, like I said, I told you about the Washington Commanders. I did not pick the Washington Commanders. I told you I wasn't falling for the okey doke. You had Washington in that game. Unfortunately, with Jaden Daniels, I mean, he's done for the rest of that game due to that hamstring injury. I'm afraid. Thank God the injury wasn't as worse, but he's gonna miss some games because he already missed a couple of games due to the sprained knee. What do you think? What the hell do you think him missing a hamstring injury? And you just got to give your hat to Dallas. Like I said, Dallas is just too damn good at home, champ. And
Yep.
you're seeing it with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is playing his best football since 2023. If it were not for Baker Mayfield, you would look at Dak Prescott as the favorite for the MVP. Josh Allen has struggled the past couple of games. Justin Herbert as well. Outside of Baker Mayfield and maybe Bijan Robinson, who definitely deserves MVP conversation, it's Dak Prescott. You look at the numbers, you look at what he's had to do without CD Lamb, what he's doing with George Pickens, what he's doing with Jake Ferguson, not to mention that horrible defense that he has. So regardless of the circumstances, he's still able to thrive. And they're just so damn good at home, champ. That's one of the reasons why I picked Dallas over Washington. Do you think I like to pick Dallas over Washington? No, of course
Oh,
not. Absolutely not. That's like you picking the Saints over the Falcons.
yeah, that's not gonna work. But hey, underestimated the Cowboys today, but luckily for me, they won. Mama's happy. Um, hey, Dallas came out there and did their darn thing, man. And look, defense did a hell of a job too. I thought there was going to be score after score after score. It was like, hey,
Yeah, Washington had a lot of drop passes, and they lead the NFL in drops this season.
Yeah, there's a lot of back steps that's going on. Not just I know people love taking it easy, but it's a sophomore jinx. No, it's a multitude of things.
Remember, no Terry McLaurin, no Debo Samuel, and we expected, and there was a feeling you kind of anticipated Terry to regress this season because remember, after coming off that great season last year, he held out, obviously because he wanted his money. I had no problem with him getting his money. Eventually, he got his money, but I had questions about what type of shape, what type of condition he was going to be, and as far as with the chemistry, Debo. Listen, we can't say anything more about Debo. Debo's had a solid start this season, a solid start to the season. And it was a concern losing him because other than Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Jeremy McNichols, who's going to provide us the running threat as well as Jaden Daniels? Mm-hmm. And Dak, he's been balling. George Pickens has been balling. Ty Smith, they've done their part as far as protecting Dak. But at the same time, champ, with Washington, they got to stop bringing in veteran guys. And they got to get younger players so that they can develop. You've often said it yourself. The definition of insanity is doing something more than once and expecting a different result.
Absolutely.
And in no way it's anything comparable to, my God, Daniel Snyder. Because remember, look at some of the hirings he made as far as game players. I mean, Bruce Smith, Deion Sanders, yeah, they put fans on the edge of their seats. Yeah, you were selling tickets, but these were players that were at that point not at their prime. And Washington continues to bring in veteran guys. You got to get in some young guys who you can develop. The cornerback position that they need to improve upon. I mean, they drafted Emmanuel Forbes. I wanted them to get Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon, who's a physical cornerback and has speed. And when you're going up in that division, like the NFC East, when you have to deal with A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, and hopefully when he comes back from injury, Malik Neighbors, you got to get yourself a corner. And you also got to get yourself another cornerback. Now, I don't mind Bobby Wagner from the standpoint, well, he's familiar with Dan Quinn because of their days in Seattle with the Legion of Boom. So that's understandable. But Washington's got to stop relying on older veteran guys to help save them. Yeah, it's great to have them to help mentor the younger players, but you still got to get them younger players. And you got to get that defensive line together. That's my biggest concerns I have with them.
You know what? I'm gonna just be real. Can I be honest with you? I don't think
Totally.
they expect it to be good this damn fast.
Well, with the new ownership and
Yeah.
considering that they've moved on from Daniel Snyder, look, there was nowhere to go but up. Maybe not as fast because
Yeah.
last year they went to the NFC Championship game first time since 1991. But at the same time, and plus, obviously, in a couple of years, they're going to move on. They're going to move back to the old
Okay.
stadium in DC. Happy about that. But, champ, it's one thing to lose. It's entirely another thing to get your ass whooped. And
Yeah.
that was one of them classic BTA whoopings.
Hey, like I said, I don't think they expected to be this good. I thought they figured that they had time. Like, we're going to draft this young quarterback. He's going to come in. We're not expecting him to go to the NFC Championship because guess what? I didn't really think that they had enough in order to get to the Super Bowl during that time. But I digress. They got to get that
And the
offensive
Giants just
line.
scored.
Hmm?
Giants just scored. It's now 32-30 Giants.
32-30 Giants. I'm
Yeah.
glad. Damn.
Not just
Jackson Dart.
him, Jackson Dort, too.
Damn, Jackson Dart. Hold on. They only got 18 seconds left. Let me see what's going on. Let's see what's going on. Oh, yeah, they're in field goal range.
Yeah.
They're in field goal range.
But champ, Giants Broncos just scored 33-32.
Damn, what a game. Damn, what a game. What a game. What a game.
And
Bo
guess what?
Nix-
Cowboys it's gonna be exciting because next week Cowboys got the Broncos.
Mm,
But I'm sorry, big fella. The Commanders Cowboys game.
they got to fix that line. They got to bring in some veterans on the defensive side. They got to bring in some young guys on the defensive side of the ball. Sort of like Atlanta did, you know. Atlanta's a bunch of rookies out there doing their thing. They just want defense because they already had offense kind of figured out. But it's like I said, I don't think that the Washington Commanders expected themselves to be this great so quick. And now that they are great at this point, it's kind of hard to capitalize on it because you don't have the offensive line capability at this point. Your defense is a little bit older, and it's not that stifling. It's not like you got a bunch of veterans on that team on the defensive side of the ball, and it's a stifling defense. If it was a stifling defense, it'll be a whole other thing. Or a suffocating defense, it'll be another thing. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So they have a lot of things they have to fix. Granted, a quarterback can get you by for 1 year, probably by himself. We've seen magical seasons by quarterbacks. We saw Matt Ryan, we saw Joe Flacco, but if you don't have the recipe around him in order to get him where he needs to be, a line, got it. I would even say, although Zach Ertz is doing good, got to get a young tight end in there just in case he gets hurt. You have a lot of veteran wide receivers. You got to get some guys in here. I mean, remember last year, that was one of the oldest teams in the league with the exception of Jaden Daniels. It was
Right.
one of the oldest teams in the league. So you got to get some young guys in there so we can develop. He can get developed. You can't. These older guys are not going to be here for the next 2 to 3 years. These young guys, they're going to be there. So you got to bring in the correct offensive tackle on the left side to protect this right on the left side. You got to bring in they brought in the correct running back. They brought in him. He's a young guy, but you got to get some youth on the defensive side of the ball. So that way it can hold up well, because the way they was not able to stop the run today, the way they wasn't able to stop the pass today, the deep ball was kind of killing them at a certain point. That's an excuse.
Especially the one where Dak connected with George Pickens before they put to a 12-point lead.
Yeah. I'm gonna just be real. If Dallas can get this defense together where they can just at least be decent. I'm talking about just be decent. I'm not talking about if they can hold teams to 23 points a game. I think they have a chance to do some things. At least get to the divisional round.
I think they can do something in the regular season, become postseason time champ. That's a different story, because we saw 2023 with the Cowboys. Dak was the runner-up for the MVP. Had it not been for Well, value, if it were just based on stats, you could make an argument for Dak winning the MVP, and they laid an egg in that game against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. Yeah, they
So
did. A lot of it wasn't because of Dak.
no, it wasn't because of just Dak. Of course, their defense, they couldn't stop the run, but at the same time, Dak didn't play that well. And even though if you look at the numbers that game, that was in garbage time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
they got, like I said, they had at least have to get it to where they can do decent. They get it to where it can be decent, okay, but they have to get it to where, because remember the 98, and I know it's a bad example. Remember the 98 Vikings, their defense was decent. Offense was impeccable. Defense was
Randall Cunningham and Randy Moss and Chris Carter and them, and with Dennis Green as the head coach. Yeah.
Their defense was decent. Force a few turnovers, force a couple of 3-and-outs, and just don't get drug up and down the field every single drive. Force something to happen so we could get the ball back, so we can run up the score. That's all they need. Force a turnover here, force a turnover there, get a sack here, get a sack there. Decent. If they can get it to where it's decent, they'll be fine. But, like I said, it's a whole nother ball game when you get in them playoffs. It's a whole nother season.
I agree.